One of the things that very often asked about is creating consistent characters. And particularly, can you get like more than one consistent character or a consistent scene in order to create something? And it could be creating a children's book, it could be creating consistent content, it could be having some sort of avatar that regularly appears in some of the media that you create. How do we go about this? So I'll show you an example end result first, and then we'll look at how we built that up. And I'll be using Midjourney or some specific features in Midjourney that we want to be able to explore because I think it's more powerful for doing this. However, some of the methods you can use in DALL-E as well. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. So in this example, we'll do more of a kind of kids book type situation. So the boy, opens his cupboard and finds a vortex. So he jumps through it and he ends up in Paris. I think, oh, okay, I can go to different parts of the world by jumping through this vortex. Where else do I fancy seeing? Well, let's pop over to Australia, see Ayers Rock, a couple of Aborigines, gets a bit peckish, goes to a food market in Marrakesh, in Morocco, thinks, oh, this looks quite nice, well, maybe I'll just take this one. Now he's all fed, he decides, well, I may as well go walk the Great Wall of China. It's on his bucket list, and he needs to walk off his meal. Then he thinks, okay, can I go to another planet? Does it have to be on Earth? But then he's greeted by an alien, thinks, oh, this is getting a bit scary. So he gets his sister involved and says, hey, look, I've got this cool time warp. We can jump through it and kind of go to anywhere we like. Where do you want to go? And she says, kind of go and visit the Taj Mahal. Oh, brilliant. Where do you want to go next? Well, let's go and look at the pyramids in Egypt. She thinks, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'll maybe just jump across to London, see Big Ben. There's lots of things on her to-do list as well. So she goes, let me go and check my cupboard and see if I've got a time warp. If I could write stories, I could write a book. But unfortunately, I'm not an author. What I'm illustrating here is what we've got is multiple consistent characters in similar style of media when it comes to the backgrounds and the different scenes. And let's jump into Midjourney and just have a look how we created this set of scenes for the animated example and the photorealistic example, which is two completely different methods, and that's why I'm showing them. So this first method is where we essentially create a character sheet to create a character in multiple different poses with lots of different expressions. Then what we will do is essentially remove the background and then superimpose that on top of a scene. You can do it in something like Canva. Of course, you can do it in Photoshop or whatever tools you want to use, but Canva's a very simple one to do it. So I'll show you that as well. Now, I keep asking for a solid white background. Don't ask for a solid white background. Ask for something like a solid grey background. I just keep forgetting to do that because when you go to remove the background, it will remove like the whites of the eyes and the teeth and things like that as well. So we don't want to do that. But what is helpful is changing the aspect ratio so it's not a square, so you get a larger surface area to create. It'll generate more poses the larger the area that you do. So I've done a 7x4 just to make it a bit wider, but it's up to yourself how you go about it. And this is where you will tinker. You will create different types of variations of this. I did a few other ones and I didn't really like them, so I kind of iterated until I got the feel of what I was looking for. Once I got the feel of what I was looking for, I then used some of the variations to create different types of poses. Some were good, some were bad. But then I felt, okay, between these, I've got enough different poses, angles, rotations, the back, the front, the side, etc., so that I could cherry pick to put into the scenes for this kind of like children's book example. Then the next thing I did was create the scene, and again I've used the same style, kind of Pixar type style. It's what I've said. Now in these next few examples, all I'm doing to create the different scenes is using the prompt description. So using consistency in the prompt description to try and create a similar style or medium for the different scenes. When we get to it a little bit later, I'll show you some Midjourney specific advanced ways of doing it, but this particular method I'm showing just now is applicable to all image generation tools out there. Again, give the description, pick the one I liked. Wasn't a big fan of that one, so I modified it. I thought, yeah, quite like that one. So that became my base image. And then based on that, I just picked some places around the world, used a very similar prompt, obviously kept the aspect ratio the same. And yep, just kind of picked the ones I liked, then went to Australia. I didn't like those ones. So I came here and I thought, yeah, I quite like that one. Did the same thing with the markets. So it was working pretty well for me. I didn't like the first few here for the Great Wall of China. I only liked this particular one. So then what I actually tried to do here is I wanted, if you notice, if I go back to these character sheets here, the characters all wearing the same clothes and the same hairstyle, etc. That's normal for a character sheet, and then in something like a book, that's all you would do. But I when I decided I wanted to do a scene on another planet, I thought I want him wearing a space helmet. But none of these obviously had a space helmet on it. This is where we get into some of the kind of Midjourney specific stuff. So what I did here was come down, I took an image of our friend here, and I used this as the reference image. So this, when you get, so the double dash AR is aspect ratio 7:4, and then the double dash C ref is character reference. And you can set weightings on this character reference from like 0 to 100. But what I've basically said is use this prompt in this aspect ratio and use the character reference of this image as the influencer for what you want to create. Now, I didn't like what was produced the first time, so I amended the prompt, kept the same character reference, and then I did it again. And you can see I've moved to a grey background here. And I thought, okay, I like that. That one there is going to work for me. That feels kind of on brand for me. I started to do some aliens, and yeah, they just were not working out. So again, I had to modify the prompt, and you can see these first two, the style is way off. It's nothing like any of the images that we created, the Paris scene, the London scene, etc., etc. So what I've done here is, you can see the double dash S reference. This is a style reference. So what I've told it to do here is do the same prompt, but use the style from one of the images, from this image here, I think I chose, from one of the images that represents the style I want to use. So that incorporated that style into the image, and that got me much closer to what I was looking for. But this guy here, which I quite liked. I tried a couple of other ones I zoomed out, that's what it was. I was zooming out and panning. I was trying to decide where to put the character relative to this alien. He's in the center of the image, and I wanted him more to the right, so I was messing around, zooming out and things like that to get him where I wanted. I was just having a bit of fun and decided actually having some rocks just for a bit of scene. I was going to have the guy here and then have the alien feeling a bit further back, behind them was what I decided to do. So let's jump into Canva and we'll just put this together. Now we're in Canva, and you can see that we've got the scene in the bedroom. So I've just put that down onto the canvas, and then as a layer on top, you can see I've got the character here. So I've just kind of placed them wherever I kind of wanted them. I think I had them about there. And if you remember, this came from the character sheet where I removed the background. So if we have a look, if I was to go to edit this image, and I go to crop, you can see the character sheet with the background removed. So I can basically change a character as I see fit by using this particular method. So if I want, this guy here, or I want this expression, or this one, or that one there, which I thought was a possible one as well, I think I ended up just going with this because that kind of gave it a sense of what the is that in my cupboard. So that's essentially it. That is basically how it works. The other thing that's really kind of useful to consider is you can flip them. So let's say you want them facing the other way. So you can take one image and have it in two different orientations, depending on whether you're looking out to the market scene or looking at the food, for example. So that's just a wee kind of hint, which is quite good. This one. So when I brought in the girl, I just brought her in here, and then I had a grey background. And when I went to edit this particular image, you can see that there's a background removal part, just the kind of BG remover, the background remover. So you just literally click that and hit that, and it'll just remove the background for you. And then again, you can crop her into different scenes. So if I click on her, and go back to edit image and go crop, you can see I could have her facing. I've chose her to face the vortex, or you could have her, facing him, or again, you could, flip her around. If I select her and go that, and she could be like, no, not talking to you. So there's lots of different options that you can use with a pretty simple character sheet. So that's that. Now, some of the other things I did do, which is probably worth noting, is in this particular scene, he appears to be behind this table looking at the fruit here. And the way that I've done this is if I move him out, you can see all I've done is actually cropped him up to his waist. So he's still the same character sheet. If I was to do edit image and go crop, you can see it's the same character sheet. However, as well as selecting the character, instead of doing the full body, I've obviously just cropped him up to his waist and then just placed him here so that he looks like he's behind the table. So there's different things that you can do just to kind of build the scene up if you want to do that. That method there with a kind of character sheet and creating the background separately and then just superimposing them, you can do with DALL-E, you can do with Midjourney, or you can do with any other type. When you notice that when I came into that issue of it was going off style, and I used the style reference and the character reference in Midjourney with a double dash CREF or SREF. In DALL-E, you'll remember from the consistent images that when you're putting in the prompt to DALL-E, then attach the image to that thread, which we showed you last time, and it would automatically take the style of that particular image. And you could put into the prompt, here's the style, create the scene in Rome using the style of the image attached. So that's how you do it in DALL-E, and that's how you do it in Midjourney. So next, let's have a look at photorealistic characters. So in this particular example, what I'm going to show you is I've created an image of a person, and these are 3 different prompts, 3 distinctly different images created, but trying to create the same person in different scenes. Tennis, an office environment, and presenting on a stage. Now, the prompt I used was incredibly simple. I was focusing on the consistency between the different images to have the same person. I didn't really spend any time deciding what that type of person that would be.